The initial crack in your reality never announces itself through drama or ceremony. There are no flashing lights, no thunderous revelations. Instead, it arrives as the softest tremor, a subtle displacement that moves the ground of your familiar world just slightly off-center in a way your rational mind cannot quite place. Perhaps you glance at the same corner of your bedroom you have seen 1,000 times, and something feels off, as though the light has shifted into a frequency you have never noticed before. Or maybe you are performing a routine task, something you could do with your eyes closed, yet suddenly it feels alien, as if your hands belong to someone else. These moments are so fleeting that if your thinking mind rushes in to categorize them, they vanish like smoke. But within the deeper architecture of consciousness, these moments are threshold markers, evidence of genuine transformation beginning to unfold. If you are here watching this, you have already felt this. You may not have named it yet. You may have dismissed it as nothing. But you know the sensation I am describing. That moment when the room remains unchanged, yet everything inside that room has somehow shifted into a different key. You have experienced your breathing slowing down without any conscious intention. You have felt an inexplicable quietness descend over your immediate surroundings, even though nothing external has occurred to create it. Here is what is actually happening in that instant. The world itself is not transforming. What is changing is the interface between your consciousness and the world, the way your awareness makes contact with reality. This displacement does not originate from outside circumstances. It rises from the innermost chambers of your perceptual system. When the vibrational signature of your inner state begins operating at a heightened sensitivity, the quantum field surrounding you responds with a corresponding adjustment. It does not jolt you awake with force. Instead, it introduces a subtle distortion into the familiar, then allows you to choose whether you will notice or keep scrolling past. The instant you register even the faintest recognition, a doorway within your being swings open. What makes this initial rupture so significant is that it shatters the momentum of your previous identity. You have spent years, perhaps decades, running on autopilot. Your mind has been dictating the rhythm. Your habits have been writing the script. The structures imposed by life circumstances have convinced you that they are who you are. When this displacement occurs, that entire momentum is interrupted in a fraction of a second, too brief for your logical mind to reassert its dominance. Your physical form is far more perceptive than your thinking apparatus. So the first response does not manifest as thought, but as sensation. A faint tightness across your chest, a warm pulse traveling up your spine, a pocket of emptiness appearing in the space between two consecutive thoughts. These signals are not arbitrary. The field always communicates in a language that cannot mislead those who have cultivated enough inner stillness to recognize its voice. This initial displacement is the invitation itself, a doorway that opens soundlessly yet unmistakably. It does not speak to you in words. It speaks to you through a peculiar feeling that arises within a completely familiar context. The more refined your sensitivity becomes, the more readily you perceive that this is not mere coincidence or mental static, but a signal that a new stage of consciousness is beginning to crystallize. The power of this moment does not reside in its intensity. Its power lives in its subtlety. It does not flood you with overwhelming energy. It does not knock you off balance. It simply creates the sensation that an incredibly thin membrane of reality has developed a hairline fracture. And through that narrow opening, you sense something waiting on the other side. From this point forward, logic ceases to be your primary navigator. Awareness begins its expansion. A deeper aspect of your being understands that this shift is not a random occurrence in your day. It is the culmination of hundreds of small moments throughout your life that you believed were insignificant. Every time you questioned whether this was truly the life you were meant to live. Every time your environment felt constricting, like clothing that no longer fits. Every time you sensed that you had outgrown the narrative you had been telling yourself about who you are. These moments accumulate into a critical threshold, and this initial disruption is the signal that you have reached the ripeness required to step through into a new layer of consciousness. Reality is always mirroring your vibrational state. When there is movement within your inner world, there is immediate correspondence in your outer world. This displacement is reality's way of informing you that the previous layer of awareness can no longer contain who you are becoming. Another layer is opening. That layer is not somewhere distant in your future timeline. It exists right here, in the present moment where you are standing. You can sense it, not with perfect clarity, but with undeniable certainty. Not loudly, but with precision. Not through force, but with an intensity that makes it impossible to ignore. This moment is the opening sequence of the quantum zone within your consciousness. And those who recognize this displacement are the ones standing before a threshold that very few human beings ever perceive. You do not go searching for this moment. This moment comes searching for you. And once it has made contact with your awareness, you cannot return to your previous position. This is where the real journey begins. This is the first pulse of a new awakening. This is the confirmation that the field has just selected you. As we move deeper into this transmission, this shift will become more defined. But for now, if you can feel even the smallest echo of what I am describing, understand that the door has already swung open. When the field begins drawing you inward, everything unfolds with a gentleness that somehow carries undeniable strength, enough for you to know with certainty that a deeper layer is activating. This magnetic pull does not arise from intellectual curiosity or wishful thinking. It emerges from the actual frequency that is transforming within your being. Each time your internal frequency shifts, even by the smallest degree, the field responds instantaneously by positioning the precise signals along your path. You do not identify them through visual recognition. You identify them through an incredibly delicate sensation that exists in the space between inhalation and exhalation. It feels as though an invisible intelligence is guiding you toward a destination you never consciously sought. Yet you know with absolute certainty that you must move in that direction. The most straightforward example is this very moment. You did not pause on this video because of its title. You did not click because of the thumbnail image. You stopped scrolling because there was a subtle yet unmistakable force touching you from behind your conscious awareness. That force prevented you from moving past this content, even though your rational mind could not explain why. The field does not select you through language. The field selects you through frequency precision. When you begin broadcasting a resonance that matches the frequency signature of what you are ready to receive, you become a point of illumination that the field can respond to immediately. And that response always manifests as a current pulling you in the direction you were already prepared for, though you had never given it a name. This pull does not generate pressure or force. It generates rightness. When the field exerts this pull, you do not experience it as being pushed. You simply feel as though you are returning to your natural position, as if you are finally standing in the location you were always meant to occupy. Only now you are conscious enough to recognize it. A specific form of synchronicity begins manifesting during this phase. The exact messages you need to encounter appear at the precise moment you need to read them. Seemingly random conversations suddenly deliver the answer to a question you were not even consciously asking. Repeating number sequences appear exactly when you are feeling uncertain about your direction. People you had completely forgotten about reappear in your life to remind you of a part of yourself you had abandoned. This is not chaos or instability. This is the field speaking in its native tongue. The field does not communicate through words. The field communicates through resonance. That resonance creates a pull that makes your life feel more fluid, more ordered, and more guided, even when you cannot justify it through rational analysis. What is fascinating is that when the field pulls you inward, your thinking mind begins to recede. It does not vanish entirely, but it no longer dominates your experience the way it once did. You begin to notice that you are no longer reacting to everything according to your old programmed patterns. You no longer feel the compulsive need to defend yourself or compete with others. A lightness emerges within you without any logical reason. You simply feel more spacious, as if you can finally breathe deeply. As this state continues, you begin perceiving the whisper of intuition with increasing clarity, that voice you spent years ignoring or dismissing. It is not a loud or demanding voice. It moves through you like a stream of sensation that glides across your awareness, leaving behind a single message. Continue moving forward. You are walking the correct path. What is crucial to understand about this pull is that it cannot be confused with anything else. This is not a fleeting desire that will fade next week. This is not temporary excitement that will evaporate when the novelty wears off. This is the recognition that a deeper dimension of your being is waking up and beginning to lead you. You no longer need to manufacture motivation or discipline yourself into action. You simply feel guided, and the further you follow this guidance, the more markers appear to confirm you are on the right track. A chance encounter completely shifts your perspective. An inexplicable feeling arises precisely when you are about to abandon your path. A spark inside you prevents you from collapsing back into your previous version. When the field pulls you in this way, everything that no longer matches your frequency begins falling away automatically. Your physical environment begins changing in subtle ways. Old habits dissolve naturally because they no longer resonate with who you are becoming. Old conversations lose their magnetic pull. It is not that you are trying to leave these things behind. It is that you no longer belong to those layers of reality. The field guides you by making everything unmistakably clear. Clear enough that you can no longer pretend you do not see what is happening. Clear enough that returning to your old state becomes impossible, even if part of you tries. The only requirement is that you do not resist this pull. No need to struggle against it. No need to analyze or understand every detail. Simply observe how everything is rearranging itself around you. If you have ever experienced a moment when life unexpectedly guided you to exactly what you needed at exactly the right time, pause right now and leave a comment sharing that moment. Even a brief description is powerful enough to help someone else realize they are not alone in this journey. Your willingness to share becomes evidence that the field is actively moving through your life, and sometimes that testimony becomes the signal that helps others see their own experience more clearly. When you share such a moment, you are not simply telling a story. You are confirming to yourself that you heard the field calling and that you stepped into a state of awareness that very few people are sensitive enough to recognize. As we continue, this new layer of awareness will begin opening with even greater clarity, because once this pull appears, nothing can keep you trapped in your old version anymore. You are moving into deeper territory, and the field knows this before your conscious mind does. When the internal transformation begins, your physical body always responds before your conscious awareness catches up. This is not because your body is slower or less intelligent than your mind. It is because your body is the first receptor that registers changes in the quantum field. Every shift in frequency passes through your physical form before it crystallizes into clear perception within your mind. You do not need to believe this as a concept. You only need to observe your direct experience to realize this has been occurring for much longer than you have been naming it. Your body responds through incredibly subtle signals. A warm current that travels along your spine when you hear a certain phrase, even though you do not yet understand its meaning intellectually. A breath that moves deeper than usual when you look at a familiar space and sense that another dimension is revealing itself. A delicate shiver that does not originate from cold or fear, but from something inside you unlocking. These are the initial signals of internal transformation. They are not supernatural phenomena. They are the natural responses of your physical form when your layer of awareness begins rising. Each time your frequency shifts, your nervous system recalibrates itself. Your breathing pattern adjusts, your heart rhythm changes, and the sensitivity of your senses heightens. You begin hearing with more depth, seeing with more clarity, and feeling with more precision. Not because you are trying to do so, but because your body is automatically adjusting itself to match the new level of awareness that is forming. During this phase of internal shift, you may experience a slight sense of unsteadiness because your body always responds before your mind has time to comprehend what is happening. You might feel a momentary wobble when information comes through too rapidly, or you might notice time seeming to stretch out for several seconds. This is not a sign of instability. This is evidence that your body is doing its work. When awareness expands, your body requires time to synchronize with that expansion. These small fluctuations are the synchronization process itself. Many people have experienced a moment when the space surrounding them suddenly feels more expansive, even though nothing in their physical environment has changed. That is the moment awareness opens, and the body immediately responds with a gentle release in the chest region. Tension dissolves without any effort on your part. Your center of gravity drops deeper, becoming more stable. You stand with more solidity, yet simultaneously feel lighter. The internal shift always initiates with stability. Not a forced or manufactured stability, but a stability that emerges from recognizing that you no longer need to battle against the world the way you once did. Your body senses this most clearly because it is the aspect of you that carries every memory you have ever accumulated. When awareness transforms, the body immediately exhales. A breath you do not consciously control, but which emerges naturally, as if you have just released a weight you had forgotten you were carrying. As the internal shift deepens, you begin noticing changes in your internal energy rhythm. Things you once overlooked suddenly feel significant. Things you once pursued suddenly feel hollow. Your body is the first to sense the disconnection from your old life. Not because those old things are inherently wrong, but because they no longer match your current frequency. You might suddenly feel exhausted when you are near old environments. You might feel your chest tightening slightly when you engage in conversations that used to feel completely normal. You might feel your body resisting situations that once felt comfortable. These are signals that the shift is moving into deeper layers, because your body always announces the change in awareness before your mind recognizes it. Your body's responses are never incorrect. Your body cannot fabricate reasons or tell lies. It only responds to truth. When your old frequency no longer aligns, your body will demonstrate this through unmistakable signals. And if you pay attention, you will notice that you no longer want to participate in the stories or roles that once defined you. Another fascinating aspect of the internal shift is the transformation in your mental landscape. It is not that you think more rapidly, but that you think less while maintaining greater accuracy. Your system begins eliminating the noise signals you once believed were essential parts of your identity. You no longer react from habitual programming. You are no longer swept away by old narratives that once controlled you. You begin perceiving reality from an inner space where fleeting emotions no longer pull you off center. The internal shift creates this space, a space that is clean, clear, and quiet. And within this space, you begin sensing your true direction. Your body responds before awareness, because your body has no capacity to pretend. It does not know how to conceal. It does not know how to delay the truth. When awareness opens, your body opens with it. When awareness rises, your body releases whatever no longer matches. This is why you feel lighter, even though very little has changed in your external circumstances. The body moves first, the mind follows. This is the natural sequence of all internal transformations. What matters is not forcing your body to adapt more quickly, nor attempting to pull it back to its previous state. Internal shift does not emerge from control. It emerges from allowing. When you allow yourself to feel your body with greater clarity, you begin understanding that everything you are experiencing is not instability. It is reorganization. It is your body returning the energy to you that you lost during the years you spent chasing versions of yourself that were never authentic. When energy returns, the body changes. When the body changes, awareness expands. When awareness expands, the world responds differently. This is not a fragmented chain of separate reactions. This is a unified process. The internal shift does not occur in your mind alone. It occurs in your entire system. And once it begins, it does not stop halfway. Your body knows where you are going long before you can articulate it in language. This is the moment when the new layer of awareness is beginning to crack open, and your body is the first one knocking on that door. The moment when you are no longer the character inside the story always arrives without warning, yet it carries an unmistakable signature. It does not emerge from a dramatic event or a major crisis, but from a very small separation within your level of awareness. Everything around you continues exactly as it was, but a new vantage point emerges behind you, a perspective that makes every movement of life more visible without pulling you into the drama. You do not vanish from the story. You simply stop identifying yourself as the story. This shift in perspective is a pivotal turning point in internal transformation. When you enter the witness state, you no longer react from automatic programming. Things that once destabilized you no longer shake you with the same intensity. Words that once triggered your wounds no longer penetrate your old vulnerable points the way they used to. Your body might still react lightly, but your awareness stands behind that reaction and observes everything without being swept away. This is proof that you have stepped out of the old instinctual layer and are now operating from a deeper stratum of consciousness. This moment often occurs during completely ordinary circumstances. You are speaking with someone and suddenly notice your emotions detaching from the narrative. You still listen, you still comprehend, but another layer of awareness stands behind, evaluating everything with clarity. Or you are moving through a situation that once caused you to lose control, yet this time you perceive it like watching a scene replay in front of you. You feel the emotions, but you do not drown in them. You observe the dynamics, but you are not identified with the role inside them. When this happens, you have entered the territory of the field. Because the field can only communicate clearly with you when you are standing in the position of the witness. When you are still entangled in the story, your awareness is obscured by emotions, memories, and old reactive patterns. When you step half a step inward, you perceive life as a flow of movement rather than something you must fight against from the inside. This is the only position from which truth can reveal itself. When you stand in the witness position, you begin seeing the mechanisms of your own mind. You see subtle patterns you never noticed before. You see how your thoughts leap into old scenarios automatically. You see how your emotions react before you understand what is actually happening. And most importantly, you see that you are not those reactions. You are the one who is aware of them. This separation is the indication that you have stepped out of the zone governed by ego identification. You no longer identify every thought as yourself. You no longer treat every emotion as ultimate truth. You see clearly that thoughts are simply content moving through the mind. Emotions are simply energy moving through the body. Situations are simply shifting contexts from moment to moment. And you no longer need to play the role of someone who is overwhelmed inside that story. When you stand as the witness, you begin noticing details you never saw before. You see how someone else reacts from their own fear, not from anything you have done. You see how someone is hurting but conceals it behind a hardened exterior. You see how reality responds to you through subtlety rather than through dramatic events. You see how everything operates according to an order you once mistook for chaos. When awareness separates from the role, you no longer feel as though you are being swept away by life. You rise above the current, see it with clarity, and move through it without losing yourself. This is why this moment is considered a major shift in internal journeys. You do not need to change the circumstances. You only need to change the position from which you are looking at the circumstances. From this vantage point, every problem you once faced no longer appears as a wall blocking your path. They become reflections of your old mind in the process of dissolving. You see truth without fear. You see emotions without being controlled by them. You see yourself without judgment. When you are the witness, you begin understanding that you do not need to control life. You only need to see it correctly. And when you see it correctly, everything falls into place by itself. Something remarkable happens after that. You realize that no one is opposing you. No circumstances are working against you. No one is trying to block you. Everything is simply the reflection of your old layers of consciousness. When you see them clearly, they lose their power over you. And in that moment, you realize you have stepped out of the story and into the role of the one writing the story. This is the shift that changes everything. You are no longer the passive character in your life. You become the one shaping how you experience your life. You no longer chase situations. Situations begin adjusting to the brightness of your awareness. When you stand in this vantage point, you no longer fear what happens. You simply observe how reality responds to the frequency you are holding. This is the place where the field can guide you further. This is the gateway to the next layer of awareness. This is the moment you step out of the role and become the one seeing through it. And this is also when your old story begins dissolving and a new story prepares to open. The gentle dissolution of the old self never arrives in a dramatic moment as many people imagine. It is not a violent collapse or a shattering that leaves you unable to stand. It unfolds as a very quiet, very subtle process, like an old layer of light falling away from the surface you once believed was your true essence. This dissolution does not aim to destroy you. It aims to return to you the part that has been hidden for too long. When you stand in the witness position, you begin seeing that much of what you used to call yourself is actually the accumulated reactions of years spent in fear, self-protection, prediction, defense, and compromise. You see clearly how you once tried to become someone who fit the environment around you in order to avoid pain. You see habits that once felt natural but are actually reflexes born from experiences that were never healed or integrated. And you realize that many emotions you carry are not actually yours, but were shaped by the stories you had to live just to survive. When the dissolution unfolds, the old self loses its grip. It does not vanish instantly. It simply no longer has the power to control you the way it once did. This is the stage where many people feel as if they are suspended between two states. Not fully the old self, but not yet fully the new one. This in-between state is not a mistake or a problem. It is the sign that you are separating from an identity built from limitations that no longer match who you are becoming. During the days of dissolution, you may notice that things which once mattered deeply begin to fade. Not because they have lost all value, but because you realize they no longer represent anything true within you. Some conversations feel heavy, even though you used to participate in them out of habit. Some beliefs feel suffocating, even though they once seemed foundational to your identity. Some relationships feel draining, even though you once believed you had to maintain them. A deeper part of you sees everything more clearly and begins demanding truth, demanding honesty with yourself, demanding that you no longer cling to things that once gave you a sense of safety, but have now become too small for who you are becoming. Dissolution is not loss, it is restoration. What falls away is only what no longer matches the level of awareness you are stepping into. You do not need to force yourself to let go. What is not real falls by itself when what is real begins to appear. When you see clearly how long you have lived inside a version of yourself built from fear and the desire for acceptance, you no longer want to return to it. But the old self does not disappear easily. It attempts to pull you back with familiar questions. If I change, who will I be? If I let this go, what will be left? If I am no longer who I was, will I lose everything I have built? These questions are not meant to frighten you. They appear because the old self is afraid of being left behind. It was created to protect you. It believes it is keeping you alive. But its role ends the moment you step into a new layer of awareness. When you look at it from the witness position, you realize that you do not need to fight the old self. You only need to stop believing it is you. Dissolution happens in silence because that is the only way your true essence can emerge. That essence does not need noise. It does not need validation. It does not need compromise. It only needs your clarity and your presence. When you stand firmly in the new vantage point, The false roles begin to lose power. You no longer feel the need to play the strong one to earn respect, or the obedient one to receive love, or the busy one to gain recognition. You realize none of those roles are actually you. They are only costumes you wore. And when the old energy dissolves, you no longer want to wear them. A significant moment in dissolution is when you begin remembering the parts of yourself you once abandoned. Not memories exactly, but feelings. The feeling that you were once deeper than this, more free than this, more authentic than this, more expansive than this. That recognition does not come from regret. It comes as a return. Your body feels lighter. Your mind feels clearer. The tension between your body and mind softens, not because life has changed, but because you are no longer carrying the heavy armor of the old self. When that armor falls away, the space inside you grows larger. Your breath deepens without any effort. Your gaze becomes steadier, even when the world around you shifts. You react less and receive more. You listen more and speak from a truer place. You feel the world not through defense mechanisms, but through presence. The dissolution of the old identity does not take anything valuable away from you. It only removes the layers that once made you shrink to fit into limitations that no longer belong to you. When those layers fall, your real self emerges. This is not a new version. It is the version that was never buried. This is the moment you begin to see yourself clearly. And when that happens, everything in your life begins to adjust to the real you instead of the version you once forced yourself to maintain. This is the shift that marks your exit from the old zone and your entrance into the layer of awareness where what is real no longer needs to hide. Dissolution is not the end. It is the foundation for everything that will be rebuilt from your truth. The quantum principles are not distant or difficult to understand, as many people believe. They do not exist only in faraway laboratories filled with scientists in white coats. They exist within your everyday experience. You simply have never been shown how to perceive them. When your awareness shifts and the old self begins to dissolve, these principles become more transparent because you begin sensing reality directly instead of through old habits or conditioned beliefs. Quantum mechanics is not something mystical or supernatural. It is the natural language of the field. And to understand how the field responds to you, you need to grasp the basic principles that are operating in every moment you once overlooked. The first principle is the simultaneous existence of all possibilities. The physical world conditions you to think there is only one path, one outcome, one possibility. But in the quantum layer, all possibilities exist simultaneously as branches not yet chosen or collapsed. Before you place your attention on a possibility, it exists only as potential energy. When you direct your awareness toward it, you collapse it into your reality. This is why you often see a path clearly the moment you begin thinking about it. It did not just materialize out of nowhere. It was already there as potential. You simply selected it through the placement of your attention. When you understand this, you begin to realize a simple and powerful truth. You do not create the future from nothing. You select a version of the future from countless versions that already exist as potential. That selection happens not through wishful thinking or imagination alone, but through your state of being in the present moment. The second principle is the collapse of potential into actual experience. When you bring your attention combined with emotion to a possibility, you transform it into your reality. This is the principle scientists refer to as the collapse of the wave function. In everyday life, this means that anything you focus on with emotional charge becomes stronger in your experience. When you focus on worry, you strengthen the worried version of reality. When you focus on what you know is aligned with your authentic nature, you make that version more accessible. Nothing in life simply happens randomly. Everything is selected through the frequency you are maintaining. The third principle is the instantaneous connection between anything that has ever been linked. In physics, this is called quantum entanglement. In life, it manifests as intuition, synchronicity, and the sense of knowing something before it happens. When you have once connected deeply with someone, you can sense their state even from across the world. When you have once experienced a significant direction in your life, you can sense the next step even without logical understanding. This is not supernatural ability. This is the natural property of a field where everything influences everything else almost instantaneously. You feel because you were once connected. You know because you are still linked to layers of information you thought you had forgotten. The fourth principle is that reality responds to frequency, not to words or intentions alone. You may say you want peace, but if you are carrying tension inside your body, the field responds to the tension. You may say you want love, but if you are carrying fear of intimacy inside your heart, the field responds to the fear. You may say you want to step into a new version of yourself, but if you are still gripping tightly to old fear, the field can only respond to what you are actually emitting energetically. This is why people who do not try so hard often achieve more than those who try with excessive force. They are not trying to control the field. They simply maintain a consistent frequency. When frequency is stable, reality organizes itself automatically. The fifth principle is that the expansion of awareness triggers the reorganization of the external world. When you change inside, the things outside begin to lose their relevance to you. Not because the world itself changes, but because the way you read and interpret information has changed. When your awareness expands, you see opportunity where others see a dead end. You hear signals where others hear only noise. You step into the right place at the right time because you sense alignment where others overlook it. The world does not adjust itself for you. You adjust the way you make contact with the world. And the world is compelled to reorganize according to the way you are now present. The sixth principle is the continuous recreation of the self in every moment. A human being is not a fixed entity carved in stone. You are recreated through every small choice you make. Each time you choose calm instead of reactive behavior, you recreate yourself. Each time you choose to see a situation from the witness perspective rather than the defender perspective, you recreate yourself. Each time you choose to speak truth instead of playing a safe role, you recreate yourself. Quantum transformation does not change you through one dramatic explosion. It changes you layer by layer, beat by beat. Through each moment, you are choosing a truer version of yourself. The most important thing to understand is that quantum principles do not require you to believe in them or memorize them. They only require you to see the world with your own awareness. When you know all possibilities exist simultaneously, you fear less about being stuck. When you know reality collapses according to where you place your attention, you become more careful with what you feed your mind. When you know connection always exists beyond space and time, you trust your intuition more deeply. When you know frequency is more powerful than words, you stop pretending and begin being honest with your true nature. When you know awareness determines how the world responds, you begin changing from within instead of trying to control everything outside. Every step you have taken from the first displacement to the dissolution of the old self has prepared you to understand these principles, not with your mind alone, but through direct experience. You felt them before you understood them intellectually. And that is how quantum always works. You sense first, understand later. You change inside first, and the world changes afterward. This is not abstract philosophy. This is how reality operates when you are standing in your true frequency. The next movement will show you more clearly how these principles begin shaping the new life you are entering. Now, what we are exploring today only touches the surface of how consciousness operates at the quantum level. If you are feeling the pull to go deeper, to understand the complete system of how you move from unconscious transmission to becoming the frequency itself, I have mapped out this entire journey in my book, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It contains the 9 master frequencies that transform you from seeker to embodied presence, with practices that take you beyond manifestation into pure being. It is linked in the pinned comment below. When you make contact with the quantum zone, your body, emotions, and awareness begin responding in ways you could never explain through ordinary logic. There are no grand supernatural effects or mystical visions. Instead, the signs appear very real, very human, very close to you, yet they carry a depth that you cannot deny or dismiss. These 6 signs are not theoretical concepts. They are the lived experiences of everyone who steps into the new layer of awareness in one form or another, even if they never name them explicitly. When you realize you are experiencing these manifestations, you understand that you have stepped into the vibrational field of the quantum zone. And from this point forward, you will not be able to return to the old way of operating. The first sign is the silence that appears beneath every movement of your mind. It is not the silence of emptiness or hollowness. It is the kind of silence that makes everything feel slower, even though life is still moving at exactly the same pace as before. You notice that you no longer react immediately to stimuli. A small space opens between what happens and how you respond. That space allows you to see clearly where the emotion is originating from, how the thought is moving through you, and what truly matters in that moment. You are not trying to be awake or conscious. You simply become awake naturally. When this silence appears, you have already stepped halfway into the quantum zone, because it is the sign that awareness has moved beyond the zone of automatic functioning. The second sign is synchronicity beginning to appear in clusters, no longer as scattered coincidences. They arrive in sequences, in streams, in tightly arranged signals, as if an intelligent force is orchestrating your reality. You think of someone and they contact you within hours. You seek an answer to a question, and it arrives through the words of someone completely unrelated to your question. You feel as though reality is responding to your internal state instantly. This is the direct feedback mechanism of the field, when your frequency is stable enough to connect with higher layers of information. Synchronicity is not magic or luck. It is the precise language of the quantum zone. The third sign is your body becoming more sensitive in a very specific way. Not sensitive in the sense of being easily hurt or fragile, but sensitive in the sense of detecting truth at an energetic level. You walk into a space and know immediately whether it is aligned with you or not. You speak with someone and sense their energetic layer before you understand the story they are carrying. You can feel when something is not aligned, and you can also feel when something is opening even without any evidence to support that feeling. This sensitivity is activated through the synchronization between body and awareness. When body and awareness emit the same frequency, they become a natural radar system that cannot be deceived. The fourth sign is the shift in your sense of time. A day may pass very quickly and you still feel energized, or a short moment may stretch out like an extended reflection without a clear ending point. You no longer experience time as a linear flow, but as layers that expand or contract depending on your inner state. This is a sign that your mind is loosening its control and awareness is operating on a wider bandwidth. When you make contact with the quantum zone, you no longer see time as a container of minutes and hours. You see it as the rhythm of energy itself. You feel it instead of counting it. The fifth sign is that things no longer aligned with you begin leaving your life naturally. No forcing or effort to release them. No struggle to walk away. Conversations with no energetic connection fade away on their own. Habits once familiar suddenly feel meaningless and hollow. Paths that once intrigued you become dim and unappealing. The field always reorganizes itself when you change frequency. When you stand in the quantum zone, you cannot hold on to what is out of sync with you. Not because you are pushing it away, but because it cannot cling to you when you are standing on a higher layer of frequency. This departure does not create loss or grief. It creates liberation and spaciousness. The sixth sign is that you begin hearing your true inner voice with clarity. Not the voice of anxiety, doubt, or expectation. The quiet and steady voice. The voice that does not pressure you but makes everything clear. It guides you without pushing. It tells you what is right for you without needing justification or explanation. It feels like a gentle current leading you to the exact place you need to stand. This is the clearest sign of the quantum zone, because only when you step into this vibrational field does your true voice become strong enough to rise above all previous noise. When these 6 signs appear in your life, you no longer need to convince yourself that you are changing. You feel the change in every breath you take. You see it in the way you respond differently to situations, in the way you sense the world more deeply, in the way you no longer try to make others believe something about you. You simply become a more precise version of your true essence. The quantum zone does not open through willpower or force. It opens through alignment, and these signs are the evidence that you have aligned. If you are clearly feeling any part of these 6 signs right now, take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I am aligned with the quantum field. This is not just an external action for engagement. This is an action of frequency declaration. And when you declare your frequency through conscious intention, the field will continue opening the next layer for you. This is how you signal to the quantum field that you are ready for what comes next. When the timeline begins to tilt, you do not notice it immediately. There is no alarm sound or clear moment you can point to and say, that is when everything changed. The tilt happens in silence, like a tiny shift in the hinge of a door that ends up altering the entire direction in which the door swings open. The timeline tilt always occurs before you can understand what has happened. Awareness only recognizes it after you have already walked several steps into the new branch, and the familiar feeling no longer matches the frame of reality the way it used to. The first sign of the timeline tilt is the feeling of slipping out of the old track. You are not bored. You are not tired. But there is a slight mismatch between your being and the environment around you. Conversations that once interested you now feel flat and lifeless. Plans that once pulled you forward no longer create momentum. People who once played central roles in your life now feel distant, as if you are walking to a different rhythm entirely. You are not trying to pull away from them. Your inner frequency has shifted to a new branch, and the old reality can no longer hold you in place. The second sign is the sense that you are living two versions of yourself simultaneously. One part of you still operates in the familiar daily life, going through the motions, but another part knows clearly that a different life stream is forming right beneath the surface. You can feel a version of yourself standing ahead of you, clearer, brighter, more natural, and you recognize it as not the future self you are becoming, but a pre-existing version of you reaching back to pull you into its correct timeline. This is not imagination or wishful thinking. This is how the field announces that you are stepping out of the old orbit. The third sign is that small choices begin to carry enormous meaning. A single answer where you say no to something you would have said yes to before. An invitation you decline gently but firmly. A direction you choose based on intuition, even without clear logical reasoning. These small actions are the subtle steering adjustments that shift you out of the old route. Timelines do not change through dramatic decisions or life-altering events. They change through small but frequency-aligned choices. When you choose what matches your true nature, instead of what matches your old habits and conditioning, you shift timelines. The fourth sign is the unusual speed of synchronicity. Things you think about appear so quickly that you pause and wonder whether you are somehow imagining or creating them. An intention you quietly set receives a response from someone completely unrelated within hours or days. An opportunity you never named or announced finds its way to you in a subtle yet precise manner. This is the clearest evidence of a timeline tilt. When you leave the old branch, the field begins sending you markers to help you recognize that you are moving in the right direction. Synchronicity becomes a navigation map, showing you that you are on the correct path. The fifth sign is the feeling of a thin, protective layer between you and the world. Not a wall that blocks everything out, but a cushion that absorbs impact. The things that once pulled you into emotional spirals no longer have the same force or intensity. The situations that once triggered you now only create a soft ripple inside. You see things as if you are standing a step farther away, even though you are fully present in the moment. This is the sign that you have left the old timeline where everything touched you directly and immediately. When the timeline tilts, you stand at a higher vantage point. You still feel everything, but you are not submerged in it. The sixth sign is a sense of knowing that you cannot explain logically. You have no clear reason, but you know what is coming. You know someone is about to return to your life. You know a door is about to close. You know a new direction is about to open. This is not prediction or guessing. This is the result of standing closer to the information currents of the new timeline, where possibilities are gathering and coalescing. When the timeline tilts, intuition is not something you try to activate or develop. It opens naturally because you are standing in the correct position to receive it. The seventh sign is that you begin releasing the old without any effort or struggle. A relationship that once felt impossible to leave now feels light and easy to release. A job that once trapped you loses its power over you. An old version of yourself that once clung tightly now holds no appeal whatsoever. This is the evidence that the old timeline is detaching from you. When you are in the correct new timeline, you cannot hold on to what is out of tune. This release always comes with relief, not pain. not guilt or regret. You know you are not losing anything of real value. You are returning to the correct orbit. The eighth sign is that moving forward becomes easier than it has ever been. Not because everything becomes perfect or effortless, but because you are no longer being pulled backward by invisible forces. In the past, every step forward felt like pushing through an invisible opposing current. But when the timeline tilts, the flow opens. What is aligned moves toward you more easily. The right actions feel smoother and more natural. You still apply effort and take action, but you are no longer swimming against the current. This is not luck or coincidence. This is what happens when you leave a timeline that no longer fits your frequency and step into one that carries higher compatibility with who you are becoming. The timeline tilt is not a sudden event that happens all at once. It is the natural outcome of someone beginning to live in alignment with their inner truth. When you no longer force yourself to remain the old version, the old timeline cannot hold you. When you touch clarity and awareness, the new timeline opens automatically. When you stop chasing what is not yours, you fall directly into the correct orbit. There is no mystery here, only alignment with yourself. When you recognize these signs, you no longer feel fear at how quickly things are changing. You understand that you are not losing control. You are simply moving with the correct current. The slight tilt of the timeline does not destroy your life. It brings you back to the version you were born to become. And once you stand on that timeline, the next steps become clearer, lighter, and more precise than anything you ever tried to force through logic alone. When the field begins to reorganize, you are not the one changing reality through willpower or positive thinking. Reality adjusts itself according to the frequency you are emitting. This is the stage where many people mistakenly believe they are becoming unstable, that everything is moving too fast or too strangely. But in truth, this is the most natural phase in the entire quantum process. When you have tilted out of the old timeline and stepped into a more aligned position, the field no longer operates based on old inertia. It begins rearranging everything to match you with the version you are becoming. This process is not gentle in the sense of being comfortable or easy, but it is precise in the quantum sense. Nothing appears unnecessarily. Nothing leaves at the wrong time. Everything follows the subtle coordination of the field. The first sign of reorganization is that things no longer aligned with you begin falling away from you automatically. You do not need to block them or cut them off. You do not need to force yourself to let go. Relationships that once consumed your emotional space suddenly feel faint and distant. Conversations that once pulled you in no longer have magnetic force. Environments that once felt like home now feel suffocating and constricting. When the field reorganizes, it does not take things away to punish you. It simply removes points of intersection that are no longer compatible with your new frequency. You are not losing. You are being freed from what no longer serves your highest alignment. The second sign is that new opportunities appear in ways too natural to call mere coincidence. They do not arrive all at once in an overwhelming flood. They arrive in rhythm, in perfect timing. The rhythm opens when you stand in the right place. The rhythm closes when you force yourself back into old flow. You begin noticing the subtle hints and nudges of the field. A chance meeting leads you to an important piece of information you needed. A sudden change in schedule opens a door you could not have predicted. A simple thought guides you to exactly where you need to be. Reorganization does not create miracles in the supernatural sense. It creates the natural pathways for you to step into your wider self. The third sign is the shift in energetic atmosphere around you. You walk into a familiar space and it feels entirely different, even though nothing physical has changed. The space has not changed, but you have. So everything reflects you differently now. You sense clearly the places that open your energy and the places that contract it. People who carry distorted or chaotic fields make you tired much faster than before. People who carry stable and clear fields make you see more clearly and feel more energized. The field reorganizes not only your external life, but also the way your body reads and interprets the world. You become sensitive in the correct direction. This is the layer of awareness where body and energy operate as one unified system. Take a moment and share below. What old pattern or belief have you recently released as you stepped into this new frequency? Your sharing becomes part of the collective field and often triggers recognition in others who need to hear it. The fourth sign is that old blockages suddenly resolve faster than before. Problems you struggled with for years reveal their solutions within days or weeks. Situations that once confused you become as clear as daylight. This is the strongest signal that the field is positioning you correctly. When your frequency changes, the stuck points in your life can no longer cling to you. They slide off because you are no longer compatible with them energetically. You do not overcome the problem through force or struggle. You rise above it through frequency shift. The fifth sign is that you begin attracting new people who reflect the exact version you are becoming. You meet people who think more deeply, resonate more clearly, and see the world from the layer of awareness you are stepping into. They do not arrive to teach you or save you. They appear because you have stepped onto the frequency where they already stand. The field connects those on the same frequency to create stability for the entire system. This is why some new people feel strangely familiar to you. Not familiar from your past, but familiar in frequency and resonance. The sixth sign is expanding clarity that has nothing to do with logic. Not clarity of thinking, but clarity of sensing and knowing. You know what you need to do without a detailed plan or list. You know what is wrong even when everyone else insists it is right. You know which direction opens even without any evidence to support that knowing. When the field reorganizes, clarity comes not to make you think more, but to move you forward. No more ambiguity, no more confusion, no more analyzing the same situation 3 times. Clarity in the quantum zone is the kind of clarity that cannot be argued with because it does not come from desire or wishful thinking. It comes from alignment with truth. The seventh sign is the lightness you feel in difficult decisions. Instead of struggling and agonizing, you simply know you must move. Not because you have suddenly become braver, but because the timeline you stand on no longer allows delay or hesitation. You no longer choose between right and wrong options. You simply recognize what matches your frequency and what does not. Decisions feel light because you are no longer resisting the field or trying to control outcomes. The final sign is the shift in how you see yourself. You no longer evaluate yourself based on old mistakes or old limitations. You see yourself from the witness position, recognizing how far you have come, how deeply you now understand your own nature, and how clearly you have stepped out of the version that once trapped you. You do not praise yourself or inflate your ego. You simply recognize the precision of your journey. This is what the field wants you to see when it reorganizes reality around you. That you did not come here to become someone else. You came to become the exact version the field designed for you from the beginning. When the field begins responding to you, life does not become perfect or problem-free. It becomes aligned. What no longer has energy will leave. What belongs to you will open. And even when the pace feels fast, you will realize everything is moving according to the frequency you have initiated. This reorganization is not a reward for good behavior. It is the natural response when you stand in the correct position within the map of the field. From here, reality will continue adjusting precisely to every step you take, every choice you make, and every layer of awareness you open. If this transmission is resonating with something deep inside you, if you sense that this content found you for a reason, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency, to this conversation, to this movement. Subscribing is not about consuming more content. It is about declaring your alignment with a new way of seeing reality. The more of us who embody this understanding, the more the world reflects that truth back to us. You are not here by accident. You are here because you are ready. When you enter the stage of embodied frequency, everything in your journey begins forming a clear structure. No more searching for signs of misalignment. No more waiting for signals from the field. No more trying to generate the right vibration through effort. You no longer look for frequency because you have become the frequency itself. This is the moment when a person no longer relies on inspiration or motivation to stay on their path. Stability no longer comes from willpower or discipline. It comes from the fact that you have become the state you once only touched briefly. Embodied frequency is not a burst of brilliance that fades. It is the natural culmination after you have gone through every internal shift required. The first sign of embodied frequency is consistency in your inner sensation. Before, you had to try to maintain a high vibration. Now you exist in it effortlessly. You wake with a quiet stillness in your mind even when life is not perfect. You sense clarity even when you are busy and occupied. You know where you stand in the field without checking or comparing yourself to others. Frequency is no longer something external you chase. It is the natural foundation from which you operate moment to moment. The second sign is deep neutrality that is often misunderstood. This is not numbness or detachment from life. It is the kind of neutrality where situations that once shook your emotions no longer throw you off balance. You still feel everything, but you are no longer pulled around by the intensity of it. When someone praises you, you do not rise into inflation. When someone criticizes you, you do not fall into deflation. When something good happens, you do not inflate with unrealistic expectation. When something difficult arises, you do not collapse into fear or despair. You stand at the center of yourself. This neutrality is the sign that you are living from frequency and not reacting from the wounded old self. The third sign is that clarity becomes your default state of being. You no longer search for answers desperately. Answers appear when you need them. You do not ask the field to send you signs. You simply know what you need to know. You do not try to decipher or decode intuition. Intuition becomes your normal mode of operation. Nothing feels like a guess anymore. Everything becomes obvious and clear. This clarity does not come from thinking harder or longer. It comes from the stability of your frequency receiving information without distortion. This is how the quantum zone operates when you are fully synchronized with it. The fourth sign is that action becomes smoother than it has ever been. No more feeling like you are pushing against water or swimming upstream. No more forcing yourself to do the right thing through sheer willpower. You act naturally as if you are being guided, even though you are fully conscious and aware of every step. When a door opens, You step through without hesitation or second guessing. When a door closes, you do not try to pry it back open. Embodied frequency aligns your actions with the field, so the flow always supports you. Every small movement becomes precise, without excess effort, without deviation from your path. The fifth sign is the continuity between inner sensation and outer response. You think of something aligned with your truth, and it appears in your reality. You feel a direction opening, and the first step unfolds in front of you. You sense someone's energy, and the truth about that person reveals itself soon after. This coherence is not magic or manifestation tricks. It is what happens when your frequency becomes strong enough that the field no longer needs to send the same signal multiple times. You receive instantly. You understand instantly. You move instantly. Because you have become the correct rhythm of the field's information stream. The sixth sign is the dissolving of old impulses that once controlled you. Before, you had to fight against fear, resist habits, and struggle against old reactive patterns. Now, they appear as shadows that cannot touch you anymore. You know they are leaving your system because you are no longer the source that feeds them energy. Emotional or psychological loops that once trapped you become mere echoes. You see them, you recognize them for what they are, and they fade without any effort on your part. This is when you realize you no longer need to heal as much as you once did. You have risen above the layer of energy that created the wounds in the first place. The seventh sign is your body becoming light and precise in ways you have never experienced. You sense your body as a continuously fine-tuned instrument. You know when to rest, when to move, when to be still, when to open yourself. No standardized regimen needed, no external rules or protocols needed. Your body and awareness have merged into one system, and frequency becomes the shared language for both. This is a form of natural intelligence that only appears when you are living as embodied frequency. The eighth sign is that you begin attracting experiences that match the version you are living right now, not the version you are trying to become. Aligned opportunities appear without disruption or drama. People arrive at the right moment without any sense of forcing or manipulation. Doors open without you having to knock or beg. The field is not only reorganizing what is outside, it is synchronizing the entire environment around you with the frequency you have become. This is the long-term stability of the quantum zone. The ninth sign is that you become free in a very quiet way that most people do not understand. Not free because you have many options to choose from, but free because you are not bound by any option. You know that any direction chosen from this frequency is correct. This freedom does not come from eliminating all limits or constraints. It comes from rising above the layer of limits that created the old limited identity. When you become the frequency, freedom is no longer a goal you are chasing. It becomes your nature, your natural state of being. Embodied frequency is not the destination or the end of the journey. It is the stage where you begin operating your life from the layer of awareness you once only observed from a distance. This is when the world is no longer something you try to understand intellectually. It becomes something you can read naturally through direct knowing. This is when you no longer try to control reality. You interact with it as a natural extension of the field itself. This is when you no longer force yourself to change or improve. You simply live as your true essence. And when you become the frequency, everything in reality adjusts to you as a natural response of the field, recognizing the correct source of emission. From here, the journey is no longer a search for something missing. It becomes the continuous expansion of your true self. When you have become the frequency and the field begins reorganizing around you, the most important thing is no longer the next step or the next sign to look for, but the ability to stabilize yourself in this new state. The quantum zone is not a fleeting moment or a peak experience. It is an operating state, a way of being. And staying in this layer does not come from control or rigid discipline. It comes from subtle operating codes that keep your frequency from being pulled back into the old zone. The 5 stabilization codes below are not techniques or practices you perform. They are the natural behavior of a matured awareness. Each code opens a different form of stability, and when combined, they form the foundation that allows you to stand firmly in your frequency without wavering. The first code is unconditional presence. This is not the tense focus of forcing yourself to stay in the present moment. It is the deep acceptance that the present moment is all that actually exists. When you are present in the true sense, you do not try to control your emotions. You do not try to figure out every situation intellectually. You do not try to predict tomorrow or worry about next week. You allow yourself to touch the moment directly without any intermediary. This presence stabilizes you because it frees you from the old timeline that operated through anxiety about the future and expectation. When you stand fully in the present, all noise from the old timeline loses its signal instantly. You return to truth the moment you notice yourself drifting into past or future. The second code is conscious neutrality that requires deep understanding. Neutrality is not detaching from your emotions or pretending you do not care. Neutrality is not labeling experiences as good or bad, positive or negative. When something comes into your life, you do not immediately call it an opportunity or a challenge. When something leaves your life, you do not immediately call it loss or liberation. You observe without judgment. This neutrality keeps your frequency steady because strong emotional swings tend to pull you back down to lower layers of consciousness. Neutrality does not make you cold or robotic. It keeps you from being swept away by emotional rhythms that belonged to your old wounded self. When you are neutral, the field has space to reorganize without interference from your reactive patterns. The third code is inner alignment that most people never achieve. This is when your thoughts, emotions, and actions move in the same direction simultaneously. When you want something but act against it, your frequency becomes tangled and confused. When you feel something is right, but choose the wrong path out of old habit, you disconnect from your natural flow. Inner alignment does not require perfection in every moment. It requires coherence. Think, feel, and act all in the same stream of truth. When you live in this alignment, the field reads you clearly and responds precisely. Inner clarity creates outer stability in your life. The fourth code is total release of the old ego structure. Not forcing yourself to let go through willpower. Not pretending you do not care about things. It is the recognition that fear-based behaviors, defensive mechanisms, control patterns, and the need to prove yourself no longer belong to the version you are living now. When you stop clinging to the old ego, you stop being pulled back into loops that held you trapped for years. Release here means recognizing that you have outgrown the old stories about who you are. When the ego loses its force, your frequency becomes clear, light, and naturally stable. This is the kind of stability that cannot be reversed because it comes from true maturity, not from willpower. The fifth code is trust in the intelligence of the field. Trust that does not come through logical reasoning. Trust that comes through direct experience. When you look back at every timeline that brought you to this moment, you see that no step was meaningless or wasted. Nothing was wrong. No path was a mistake. Everything was used by the field to bring you into the correct layer of awareness at the correct time. When you trust in this way, you stop fighting against reality. You no longer panic when things change unexpectedly. You no longer cling desperately to old plans that are no longer aligned. This trust stabilizes you in the deepest way possible. You no longer need to control every outcome. You simply stand in your frequency and allow life to arrange the rest. These 5 codes are not meant to be memorized or practiced mechanically. They activate naturally when your awareness is mature enough to hold them. They do not force you to change. They hold you in the natural course of change that is already unfolding. Whenever you feel scattered, confused, doubtful, or disrupted, returning to any one of these codes will bring you back to the center of your own energy. Stability in the quantum zone does not come from trying to stay perfectly still or rigid. It comes from using awareness to stand in the correct position within the field. When you are not pulled around by old emotions, not led by fear, not carried by unconscious habit, and not pushed by external expectation, you merge with the field instead of resisting it. And when you merge with the field in this way, life does not only stabilize, it becomes sharper, cleaner, and more precise than you have ever experienced. This is the state many people mistake for luck or divine favor, but it is actually the natural response of reality to someone who is stable in their own frequency. From here, every expansion arises from clarity rather than from desperate seeking. The moment you return to the field does not arrive through a loud calling or a doorway opening dramatically in the air. It arrives as a very gentle recognition, almost too gentle for you to describe with words. This is not the end of the journey. This is the moment you understand that you never left the place you thought you had lost. The field is not a destination you must reach. It is the ground you have always been standing on. And when you realize this, your entire journey becomes clear in a way that makes you fall into silence. Homecoming begins when you no longer feel like you are searching for something outside yourself. Before, you learned new concepts, you unlocked new understandings, you moved through layers of awareness, you observed signs, you watched the slight tilt of timelines, you learned to stabilize your frequency. But then one day, you feel a very strange stillness. Not still because everything is good or perfect, still because you no longer feel a sense of lack. You are no longer searching, you are simply present. That frequency of simple presence is the field itself. You do not go looking for it somewhere else. You simply remove the layers of noise and conditioning to see what has always been beneath every movement. The moment you return to the field may arrive as you look out a window at nothing in particular, or as you hear the wind moving through trees, or as you sit in a familiar room doing absolutely nothing, or as you speak in an ordinary conversation with someone. There is no special event. There is no mystical light descending. Only a deep recognition that everything you felt was leading you somewhere was actually leading you back to yourself. This is a return without sound or fanfare. You do not celebrate it externally. You do not rejoice loudly. You simply feel the rightness of it quietly, deeply. When you return, you see everything differently. Not because the world has changed into something new, but because you are looking from the center of your being. You realize that every old mistake was not a stain or a failure. It was a perfect piece of the journey that brought you to this frequency. The turns you thought were wrong were necessary detours that taught you how to read your own internal signals. You do not need to forgive yourself anymore, because you no longer feel the need for forgiveness. You see clearly that you have taken the correct step every single time, even when that step hurt, even when it seemed like you were going backwards. A profound sign of homecoming is that you no longer divide yourself into who you were and who you are now. You see everything as one continuous stream. The old version was the lesson being learned. The current version is the one who has learned the lesson. But both are you. There is no break or separation between who you were and who you are becoming. Every version serves the maturation of awareness. This harmony is the foundation of the field. When there is no longer inner conflict or self-rejection, you have truly come home to yourself. You also realize that the field never required you to be perfect or flawless. It only required you to be true to yourself. The field does not respond to your desires or your efforts alone. It responds to your honesty with yourself. When you return to the truth within, your relationship with the field becomes complete. You no longer ask reality to give you anything specific. You simply step into the position where what has always been meant for you can finally reach you without obstruction. The moment of return also allows you to see the invisible connection between you and everything that exists. There is no longer a boundary between inner world and outer world. No longer separation between you and other people. You begin to sense people through layers of energy you never noticed before. You no longer judge them harshly. You no longer expect others to change to suit you. You see them through the layer of the field where every person is on their own path, and every path has its own correctness and purpose. One of the deepest expressions of homecoming is the lightness in how you perceive the future. You no longer worry about direction or whether you are going the right way. You no longer try to check constantly whether you are making the right choices. You no longer search for signs to confirm your path. You simply know that wherever you step is part of the flow. The future is no longer something to control or manipulate. It becomes a natural expansion of the frequency you are living in the present. This lightness does not come from forcing yourself to let go. It comes from understanding that you are already home. Consider returning to this transmission each morning this week to anchor this frequency as you begin your day. And if someone in your life is ready to step into this awareness, share this with them. When you share quantum truth, you create an energetic ripple that amplifies your own embodiment while opening pathways for others. The act of sharing from this place is itself a frequency declaration. And when you stand in this state, the field becomes something very close, very familiar, very intimate. It is no longer a concept or an idea. It is a feeling. It is the foundation beneath everything. It is the life force moving through you. You no longer feel the need to reach the quantum zone as if it is somewhere else. You are the frequency layer of the quantum zone recognizing itself in this moment. This is the moment you become the one who navigates life lightly, deeply, and precisely. Not because you are perfect or enlightened, but because you are aligned with your truth. Homecoming is not returning to a physical place. It is returning to a level of awareness that has always been available. And when you stand in this level, you know that you have never been far from the field. You only forgot temporarily. You were only covered by layers of conditioning. You were only pulled into old layers of noise and distraction. But the field has always been here. Always beneath every layer of experience, always waiting patiently for you to touch it again. And when you touch it consciously, you realize that everything you ever searched for has been present in every breath you are living. At the end of this journey, as you absorb these words, I want to send you a wish that is soft, but carries tremendous depth. May you always be still enough to hear your own voice beneath all the noise. May you always be bright enough to see the opening even in the darkest moment. May you always trust deeply enough to step into the larger version of yourself that the field has been quietly calling you toward. And may you always remember that in every movement, whether big or small, whether forward or backward, you have never been far from the field. You are simply returning to what you have always been. Before we close, drop one word in the comments that captures the energy, the intention, or the transformation you are choosing right now. Just one word that represents your energetic signature to the quantum field. And if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe now, not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent, to stay aligned, to stay elevated in this frequency. The more of us who embody this understanding, the more the world reflects that truth. You are not alone in this. You are part of a collective consciousness that is waking up together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being ready. The field chose you, and now you have chosen to answer. Now that you understand how you stepped into the quantum zone, you need to know what the quantum field is actually handing you right now. The next transmission reveals the book of reality itself, the living blueprint that's being downloaded into your consciousness at this exact moment. You will discover how to read the pages that most people never see, how to rewrite the chapters you thought were permanent, and why this book only appears to those who have crossed the threshold you just crossed. The quantum field is opening its archive to you,